So let's assume she tears her MCL completely. Okay, give me a moment. All right, guys, we are back. And welcome to another week. And this time we're going to be talking about another knee injury. Do you believe it? Not only another knee injury, but another WNBA knee injury. What is happening?
Get going. She is so effective down low, and she can get a lot of people in foul trouble with how physical she is.
Son, turn it over for a fifth. Oh, and Cunningham is down. My goodness.
Sophie Cunningham, blown MCL. We don't have all the details, but what is an MCL? An MCL is, Charlie, you wanna start? Charlie? Oh, he's inanimate, sorry. And I should mention, we had a deep discussion, Charlie and I, and he really wants to be known as Charles. So, for the record and moving forward, this is Charles. This is Charles' knee, okay? And actually, do you notice that it's fixed? Well, I got another one. Yeah, we got two knees. So Charles is inanimate. So I'm gonna have to describe to you Charles' knee. So this is your knee. We've seen it all before. Boom, 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 boom. No squeaking, no clicking or clack. Well, it is making a little bit of noise. Can you put some squeaking in there? Yeah, put some squeaking in there. Okay, all right. So what do we have? Femur, tibia, fibula. Okay? What is this? Kneecap. That's your patella. You bend your knee. You've got all the soft tissue parts. We covered all the bones. And then you have your patellar tendon. ACL and PCL are on the inside. Menisci is the blue on the inside. I painted it just for you. Baby blue, by the way. By the way, I know some of you did ask. So far, baby blue seems to be the winning color for Charles' toenails. But if you want something else, it's a democracy. So when my daughter has a moment, we will paint the toenails for Charles. Okay, in the meantime, going back to this. What is this? MCL. What is this? LCL. Now, obviously, this has been cartoonified, made it simple. There's definitely more involved with the structures. But to keep it easy, MCL prevents this. This is the frontal plane, right? Also called the coronal plane, right? You're looking at something from the front. So the easiest way to understand that is a frontal plane. So imagine this. Do I have another career as a mime? No, I don't think so. No. Yeah. Joey says yes, but I don't think so. Anyway, frontal plane. If I turn it this way, what is it? That's the sagittal plane. If I go this way, what is it? Coronal plane. All right, so you have three dimensions. So if we're looking at it in the frontal plane, coronal plane, this is straining the MCL. So if we have an injury, and we strain it and have pain and tenderness, but it doesn't tear, that's a grade 1 MCL. If we go harder and we have pain and fibers tear, less than 50%, around, the number is not very well quantified where it is because we don't have real world joint kinematics. Yeah, got it. So since we don't have that and it's mostly biomechanical and we're not actually looking inside a human live living running knee on the court in the real world, we have sort of essentially equivalence, to understand what's happening in the knee. And so your MCL has superficial and deep fibers, and you can tear the superficial and you tear the deep, some of which can still fall under a partial grade 2, but a grade 3 means, yeah, Charles, let's not rip your other knee apart. Let's take the knee we've previously ripped, right? And then we're gonna rip the MCL. So she's holding that knee. She injured her right knee. So that means, and this is a right knee. So she landed and she was fine. Another player came on, landed on her leg, and just based on what I saw on the video and all the replays, and she strained it like this. And then what happened? She stretched it. Now, I don't know all the details of the classification and the specific grade. I've not seen the MRI for Sophie Cunningham. So this is purely for education. Yes. So let's assume she had the worst of the worst for an MCL, isolated MCL. We're not talking about combined injuries, because you could have anteromedial, you could have ACL, you could have superficial, deep, you could have different variations on the MCL called Stenner lesion. Well, we're not going to do a video for that. So there's nothing there. Don't look there. Look here. So when you get this MCL tear and it's a grade 3, you had to get a complete tear. Without going into the details and the specifics, I know the residents and fellows out there, you're like chatting in the background saying, dude, I know that. Why did you talk about it? What do you know? This is for everyone, buddy. We don't need to go into detail all the time. But if you want, put it in the chat and we can discuss it. So let's assume she tears her MCL completely. Okay, give me a moment. Man, I don't know which company made this, but God, this is hard to rip off.
Very durable.
All right, here we go. 1, 2. All right, that actually, you know what that was though? That was a great example of a pop. Because when you injure your ACL or a major dislocation of the knee, and I think I just ripped out her ACL. Sorry, Charles. Okay. Well, I tore that the last time, so it's okay. It's okay. All right. So, isolated. We'll try it again. How many takes am I allowed to do this? Any. Ha! Okay, let's go. No, it just keeps ripping off. All right, let's go this way. I am He-Man!
If only her MCL was that tight.
If only anyone's MCL was made from polypropylene plastic. Okay.
That's definitely the intro to the video, by the way.
What's that?
It's definitely the intro to the video.
Yeah. All right. Let's try it again. What if I do this? Is there? Oh, that's the mic. Better not do that.
Yeah. You can just slap yourself in the face.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. I think I need a different brand of knee. Okay, whoever made this knee, you've made it non-anatomic. It doesn't break and rip like it should. All right. We need a company to just give us their well, no, I mean, it's got to be more natural kinematic. Although you look at this, see how stretched that is? And it actually did pop out like the deep fibers. So you can get a sense of, I mean, even this kind of stretch. But okay, we can't, but if you were to tear it enough, see, it does move more, right? So it is stretched out. But this is how you would end up having instability, right? Instability is when you don't have the balance in the true natural kinematics of your knee. That means how you walk, your gait, your balance, your proprioception, your overall, why am I dancing, natural kinematics. And then, right? That hurts. Can you imagine walking around like this? It would really create a problem. And this is what? Varus or valgus? Anyone? Wait, where's my audience? I have the best audience in the world, people. Oh God, let's not get into politics. So, boom. All right. So that is a valgus load. Varus load. When you go in and end up with essentially an injury where you get what? Bowed knee versus knock knee, right? So that athlete came like this, pop. So it is stretched. So I did do some damage to this knee, right? Thank you, Charles. It's good help, good help. So let's just take a look at it on Charles' knee. So basically, this is a right knee. See, big toe. So landing, okay? And then what happened? This is actually a biomechanical knee, so like I'm not breaking this. But basically, maybe some flexion, and then she basically, boom, like this. And then because it tore and it was in flexion, she had so much pain that what did she do? She just grabbed her leg like that. She didn't fall. And I was actually surprised by that. You know, parkour is a great example of injury prevention. I mean, I know they do some crazy stunts out there, but they learn how to fall. And my son does parkour, and it's pretty scary. I'm always worried, is he going to injure something? Is it going to make it worse for his tennis and cycling and all sorts of other sports? But, you know, the one thing that he keeps telling me and his coach is they learn how to fall. So I was surprised that when she landed like that, she just flexed her knee up. Now, that's reaction. I mean, she had the strength, the balance. She was able to keep her balance on her knee. I'm impressed that she just picked her leg up and just held on to it and went down afterwards. But let's say, for example, you have someone coming down like this and they have the proprioceptive balance kinematics to feel everything around the knee, and they feel the stretch, they let the body collapse. So the body just becomes like a feather and floats down, or it flops. And that is the injury protection mechanism. Now, I'm not saying they fall flat hard like I made Charles do. Sorry, Charles. But you kind of like learn how to fall. Now, when you get a bad injury, man, your body just goes into reflex mode. But maybe what we need is some practice and training on how to fall as well. I mean, these are tall athletes. They're falling from 7 feet, over 6 for sure. Most of them, right? I think women NBA, WNBA might have more under 6 feet athletes, but you know, I think it's much less common now in the NBA. But I mean, it's almost like becoming less common even in NHL, in like goaltenders in hockey. I mean, they're massive now, right? So what is the saying? The taller you are, the harder you fall. Now, hey, my full empathy goes out to Sophie Cunningham. Like, oh man, that's a brutal injury. She's out for the season. So, and I don't know the specifics of her injury. I'm not her treating surgeon, but apparently she did have surgery. Now, let's go back. Charles, can you just get out of the way there for a second? Thank you. All right, so if we're just looking at the MCL, okay, and what do you have to do? You have to repair. Now, there's different types we talked about. You can have a mid-substance repair, or you could have an avulsion. Now, one of the things I brought up before, I didn't go into detail, is sometimes you can get a tear of the MCL. On top of this, there's a fascia band and your hamstring tendons, right? So what can happen is, remember I mentioned the Stenner's lesion? So if this rips off and sits on top, if it's sitting on top of fascia, then it's not going to heal down to the bone. It's not going to heal down to where you have all of those collagen, matrix, fibers, and healing proteins, and the inflammatory matrix that happens when you rip something off. The body reaction, swelling, it hurts, causes pain. It's telling you that something is hurting, something's wrong, and you need to give it a break and allow it to heal. But the best indication for surgery is if you get this Stenner type of lesion. And the word Stenner came from gamekeeper's thumb. We'll go into it. We're going to have a guest hand surgeon coming up in a future season. But that Stenner lesion, what happens is it flips up and lands on top. So if you imagine one flap on top of another flap, but the bone is on the inside, this can't heal because this fascia band, hamstring tendons, and all of the sartorial fascia is preventing the healing. So, and again, I'm not sure what exactly the type of MCL tear she had, but if she had surgery, It was definitely one of the higher grades, which means grade 3 or Stenner, and they had to repair it. Because mechanically, it won't heal like this and it'll remain unstable. And you can imagine, you can't go back playing high level sports if you have a severe tear and it's not healed. So going back to the idea of injury prevention, could we have prevented this injury? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, these are big athletes, high forces, contact athletic injuries. Non-contact, maybe you can work some out in the kinematics, predictability alerts and real world precision joint kinematics of, say, like a kinesi legging. And if you were to actually detect that, you may be able to get a sense of predictability of risk of an injury happening, and you can intervene based on data intervention. Or say you're training and you collect some data. Now, if you're perfectly healthy, you're perfectly fine, you get a contact injury, it's kind of like getting a bat. Do you see that? Oh, that was a good swing. That felt good.
You play for the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why they're not going to have a good season if I'm playing for the Blue Jays. So if you get hit, totally different scenario. And, it's interesting. Like when she grabbed her knee like that, the other common thing that can happen in female athletes is issues with fragile bone. And so the question is, did she have a fragility fracture? Did she have maybe an occult fracture? Did she have something due to low bone mineral density? And the amenorrheic athlete, the female athlete, all of that is a whole other topic, but that was the first thing that popped into my mind. MCL versus other bone-related injuries. And that's for a later topic. But
real quick, is the timeline for an MCL tear similar to like an ACL?
No.
Is it shorter or longer?
So it's shorter.
Okay.
The biggest challenge is getting your proprioception, stability, confidence, and mental acuity back.
Okay.
Because stressing that ligament is, the biggest factor.
Okay.
Now, and the question, it also depends on whether it's a autograft reconstruction or a reinforced repair. Mm-hmm. So people have discussed various ways. Do you do a primary repair or do you do a docking type procedure where you put a tendon and you lock it? Various techniques for it. It's called docking because you make a tunnel. You put a little you create a socket, and you transfer tendons, bones, screw, all sorts of different types of treatments for that. Or you do a primary repair and augment it with some type of a suture or braid or tether of some sort. So various different modalities of surgical options. And then aside from that, there's the rehab. And the rehab, the biology, 6 to 8 weeks, collagen. You get the, Sharpie's fibers as my, one of my basic biology anatomist teachers in med school used to say, Sharpie's fibers connecting. And then you get what? Wolff's Law. As you provide tension on an area, you get a reactive tissue and you get collagen fibers, all sorts of things that line up, and that alignment is key. So how you heal, so that's the biology. Then how you rehab, that's your proprioception, that's the modalities, that's partly the biology, but it's also the mental acuity and mental health component. When does she have the confidence to go back? She'll definitely be back for next season. I would say that, MCL surgery, repair, 6 to 8 weeks, healing, rehabilitation, 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Everyone's different. Safest is go 9 to 12 months, get her fully back before she comes back in the season, because this is another prone injury. Because what else happens? Where are my knees? Let's use the good knee. I know he's got 2 rights. Just don't tell Charles he's got 2 right knees, okay? All right. So aside from all of this, what else do we have? We've got our calf muscles, and they got medial and lateral gastrocs. You also have your soleus. What else do you have? You have hamstrings coming down, bridging across the knee. And then what else do you have? You have your quadriceps that go above the hip all the way down below the knee. You've got fascia. You've got the entire three-dimensional structure, neuromuscular kinematic units that need to recover. So it's not just about healing the MCL, it's about recovering your entire neuromuscular kinematic unit. So that means it requires a really deep understanding of joint kinematics in order to have the right amount of feedback data and recovery information in order to get the appropriate rehab. And rehab is never about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. It's about stages of rehab and recovery. And I oftentimes get these questions, whether it's in a work-related injury or not, and they say, oh, well, the patient has had 12 sessions of physical therapy, they've had this many sessions of chiropractic, they've had this many sessions of acupuncture or various modalities, and they've been 3 months from an injury, and they should be recovered. And none of that is logical, you know? And the problem is there's no logic in how sometimes payers, insurance companies, or workers' compensation sort of define injury recovery and rehabilitation. It's more about the phases of rehabilitation and understanding the biology of not just the ligament, bone, biology, anatomical healing, but we're talking about the overall neuromuscular, kinetic, mental health unit and the patient and the individual as a whole. Got it? See you back next time.